About 3 months prior to Alec and my wedding day, we had enrolled in a natural family planning course online at ccli.org, and we ended up learning all about the woman's fertile cycle and how every cycle there's a phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. At the end of phase 2 is when the woman ovulates and the egg is available for fertilization. And then after the ovulation in phase 3, it's literally impossible for the woman to get pregnant because there's no egg available to fertilize. So prior to ovulation, there's a 5-day window approximately where you can get pregnant because there's a thickening in the mucus and the cervix that helps the sperm to be able to live and move and everything else. So when the wedding day was approaching, I realized that I was possibly going to be entering my fertile window prior to the wedding night even. And the church teaches if you have a financial issue or a psychological problem or obligation to family members, there are a few different reasons where it's a viable reason to postpone pregnancy. And right now, Alec, my husband, has 4 months left of school. And so right now it just would not be possible for us to be able to bring a life into the world and be able to be financially responsible for it. So we absolutely, using our stewardship, we have to postpone pregnancy right now. So prior to the wedding then, I was very curious because I was like, okay, well, what can we do then? Are we allowed to have oral sex? Can we do anything? I don't know what's allowable. So did some research, and apparently any kind of contraception includes sterilization, condoms, and other barrier methods. And I kind of looked into that further because well, why can't you use condoms? And ultimately, since it affects the means to the end, with the end getting pregnant, since the barrier method actually affects the means, it kind of screws with the whole concept of it being a full union. You look at condom ads where it's thinner and thinner, you can't even feel like it's there. Well, maybe it just shouldn't be. So different things with condoms, obviously it's just well, still it's a barrier. So then spermicides, and then there's coitus interruptus, which is the withdrawal method, or also known as pulling out. That's not allowed. And then the pill, obviously, and other things. So learning that pulling out isn't a thing. And so in my research there, it was understanding that sex is actually orgasms should not be pursued unless sexual intercourse is actually the fruition of it. Oral sex is okay as long as it's a foreplay to the actual intercourse. So, and then also, in some of what I was reading, in this, there's the story of Onan from the Old Testament, which people end up referencing back to, and that's in Genesis 38 if you wanted to read that. But essentially he pulls out and it's this huge big deal. But St. Clement of Alexandria, the First Council of Nicaea, St. Augustine, and then even Luther, John Calvin, John Wesley, all these people talk so much about, there are quotes of them talking about how bad the whole withdrawal method is. So after learning this, and some of the stuff I read about how it's really a period of sadness when the couple cannot come together. My husband and I, we couldn't consummate the marriage until about a week after, and there were a few days of infertility where I knew I was done ovulating, but Alec was just really nervous because he's well, I really, you cannot get pregnant right now. And he just asked one question about if I was fertile or not, in the middle of something, and it was why would you ask me that? No, I'm not fertile, I can't get pregnant. Why don't you love my fertility too? And it was this big thing. So it's the struggle of knowing that God has, we're given responsibilities, and we're also given fertility, and this whole idea of not obstructing the man's fertility and not preventing the woman's fertility and being able to come together. It's been difficult for me so far, especially coming from a background where I was on birth control for about 6 months, and before I converted, I just kind of went and did whatever it is I wanted. And now all of a sudden I'm in a relationship with a man who absolutely loves and adores me, and I need to kind of like have a little bit of a mindset adjustment about what this really means to be able to come together as one in these phases where, it's like there's no pulling out. It's full on everything, which is not something I'm used to and is very different and will be interesting to actually experience. Like, oh wow, like I'm not gonna get pregnant doing this. And yeah, so it'll be a journey right now to kind of learn what it's like and learn what God has in store. And, one of the main questions I kept asking Alec, especially the night of the wedding, that was really hard for me to not just say, because even back then I really wanted to, on the night of the wedding, like just go full on out and then from then on use contraception, because that was, before I was Catholic. But even like with this, I was like, well, it's the night of the wedding. Like, why don't we just put this in God's hands and just say, God, like, do what you will, and we're just going to give this to you. And, Alex just like, well, no, he gives us a mind. He has scientific reason. Since we live in the era that we do, the science is behind all of it, and we are able to monitor and see and pay attention to my body to see what's going on with it for if I can or can't get pregnant. And all of that is a blessing, and that is how God intervenes and works with us. So for any of you trying to do NFP, I just want to encourage you to keep at it. I mean, it was a rough start for us, I will say that, just because of the timing, but that's what it is, and it helps us grow together, and it helps us learn the self-control and the submission and everything that runs alongside what it means to be abstinent and have that marital chastity within the union that you have. So God bless you all. I hope that you have, I'll post the link to the same site that we had done our courses through. It was very, very helpful and informative. I think it was about $195 and very worthwhile. So I just want to encourage all of you. It's possible. I mean, we waited till we were married and then couldn't still. And I think the night of the wedding, we were on the couch making out, and I said, what are you thinking about? And he said, I can't wait until we can have sex. I was like, oh my gosh. I think I sent him, we were on the couch, so I sent him to the bedroom. I was like, I don't want to be by you. Don't touch me right now. I was like, what? No, we can have sex right now, but we just couldn't. It's just not the right time, and I thank God for the man that I have, because he will keep me in line, and it will be good. So God bless you all. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next week.